Hi guys, my name is Abby Ager, and I'm here with Aaron. What's your last name? Just fucking say it, don't.
Smith.
Oh, duh. Okay.
It's a really hard one to remember.
It's so easy. And we barely know each other. We just showed up here. We're ready to talk about cool stuff.
She's a stranger off the street.
And this podcast is called, what's it called again?
Attention different?
Attention different. That's right. I did that on purpose. Let's go.
You see what I mean? You got to be crazy. It's too late to be sane. You got to go full tilt bozo. Because you're only given a little spark of madness.
We are attention.
If you lose that, you're nothing.
Attention.
Pay attention.
From me to you, don't ever lose that. Because it keeps you alive.
Different.
So what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about ADHD in relationships, romantic relationships, but we could talk about any relationship, honestly.
So specifically between ADHDers and non-ADHDers, right?
Correct.
All right. So let's jump into this. So essentially in this first part, which is content section, we're going to go over a few things about the topic at hand. So what are some of the common things that come up for ADHDers in relationships, especially between non-ADHD partners?
Yes.
And here's a list of some things that I've found and from my experience treating clients. So misunderstanding is one of the big ones that comes up, a feeling of being unloved or uncared for. And there's just lots of misunderstandings that come up in conversations and communication between partners. Criticism is another big one.
Yeah.
Especially ADHDers are more sensitive to criticism.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I felt like I was constantly being corrected growing up, and that's something I'm super sensitive to now. So, criticism is a big one for sure.
And organization, that's a huge one too.
Yeah.
So
wait, no, me? No.
I thought you were going to react on that.
I know. I was like, yeah, totally.
But, keeping your living space clean or being organized with your schedule, time management, all those kind of things can come up and create conflicts in relationships.
They're like, why is there sand on the ground? Why is your cat's litter box tipped over? Like, how come you haven't done the dishes in a few days? Stupid things like that.
And interrupting or getting onto tangents.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So have you seen that infographic that's like neurotypicals conversation?
Oh my gosh. And I love her. She's such a cool girl. I follow her on Instagram. Dang, I wish I could remember her name. I do know it.
ADHD
but anyways,
moment.
I'm gonna find it. Shoot, I downloaded Instagram because I needed to save time. Anyways, it's a really cool girl. We're gonna put it in the comments, and she made a little graphic that describes ADHD stories and how they are full of tangents. And honestly, it's not easy for the listener to listen to, is it?
Yeah. Well, and it's not intentional, but for a neurotypical person, it might be from point A to point B. That's how their story goes, very logically. Like vertically, they don't get off on a bunch of tangents. An ADHDer, we're like A to C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
It's all connected.
Then somehow maybe get around to B or not because we just forgot about it.
Right. So yeah, I mean that could drive something into your communication, some kind of wrench into it, because the other person is constantly having to chase you around when you're just trying to have a simple communication back and forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's the last one?
So parent-like interactions. So if one person, usually the non-ADHD partner, is feeling like they're acting in the role of a parent, telling the other person what to do, or coming down on them in a way that feels condescending, that's a big thing. And the non-ADHD partner might feel as if it's unfair to them. Like, I shouldn't have to be your parent. You should be an adult. I have kids. Why do I need to have, be parents to my kids and you?
Rude. Yeah. I think that just goes along with like what we consider childish behavior in our society versus what is really just a different way of being, right? Like, I mean, something that's cool about ADHD is that we're kind of childlike and that we live in every moment, excited about the possibilities. And that's what drew our partner in the first place. Like, come on, let's talk about that. Like, this is what you were attracted to in the person. This is why you're here. And then into the relationship, when you've started to struggle on organization and communication and misunderstandings and criticism, that's when you see this as a bad thing.
So obviously that strikes a chord.
Hey, I'm really mad about this. No, I just think I've experienced it. Have you not experienced it yourself?
Oh, I've experienced it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
definitely.
anybody who has ADHD has experienced it. It's something that is okay. So what did we do? Like, I want to jump right in. So
So let's just wrap up this section. So we're gonna get into
don't talk to
all of
me
this
like I'm a
stuff.
child.
Come on, Abby.
Okay.
No, so we're gonna wrap up this section and then we're gonna go straight into an open discussion.
Let's go. Okay, so
So if you want to
Yeah.
tune in, here we go. We're gonna be talking about ADHDers and non-ADHDers in relationships.
let's do it.
Okay.
So I have something to add to your list. The ADHD.
It better be good. Okay.
Here it comes. So
Is it relevant?
yeah, it actually does.
'Cause I'm still acting like your parent. No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I wasn't catching on. So with the parent thing, this is kind of a deep topic. So we're just gonna jump in. I was in a group once for ADHD, and we were discussing this. There was a couple there who was really struggling with this. The wife felt like she was the parent, and the husband was just kind of like shamed, like he was all sad and slouched in. And you could just tell that what happens to normal people is like a natural part of being alive, is that like you see your qualities in other people, whether it's negative qualities, positive qualities. It's like other people are a mirror to your experience. And so these two who were in a relationship stopped seeing the good in each other, and they just started seeing the negative. So that's kind of sad. But really, it's common. Like,
Yeah.
you just stop seeing the person for who they are, and you just start seeing them for what they repeatedly represent to you. I just touched the microphone.
That's okay. Yeah, that's a good point, because I think that some of the very same qualities that we're attracted to initially to someone,
Mm-hmm.
those qualities in the course of a relationship can start being the very same things
Yeah.
that are annoying, or that you feel like, man, it was really great when she was very spontaneous and creative and exciting. I liked that at the beginning, but now, when she can't hold down a schedule or isn't as late to, an event or a get together with friends, that stuff is just starts eating away and chipping away at that person's
Right.
love, care for their partner.
Yeah. So if the partner is seeing that person as only the negatives that you just listed, and they have lost sight of the positive that you listed before that, that's when you have a problem. I think that's when you have to have a serious conversation, because there is no cure to ADHD.
Yeah.
There's no cure. Like, you can take medicine, you can work on yourself, but at the end of the day, it takes radical acceptance from a partner who is willing to accept your flaws,
Yeah.
just like they
totally
accepted
agree with
your
that.
all of your attractive qualities.
Yeah, it's about appreciating that person for who they are, not trying to change them or
Yeah.
make them into something different.
Yeah, and that's a codependent trait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to change the person. I think at a certain point you have to realize this person is going to be this way. If you've ever tried to change something about yourself, you know how hard that is. Breaking a habit yourself, and you want to, and it is you, and you control your behavior. So if you can't change yourself very easily, think about how hard it's going to be to change someone else.
Totally. Yeah. And we should only be focusing on changing ourselves and understanding our partners. That's the
Yeah,
thing. Not
exactly.
You're not changing your partner to match some kind of version of who they are in this ideal world, or making them more like you. You don't have to be the same. We
Mhm.
can have differences and appreciate those differences and find ways to complement or mutually benefit each other.
Yeah, that's true. Like, what's an example, just so we're not being too broad, like something that you would want somebody to change or over explain as a parent?
Okay, so first example is like, let's say one person is great at planning events
Hmm.
and they're more on top of taking care of events for the kids. Now, let's assume that person is a neurotypical non-ADHDer.
Hmm.
Maybe this is the wife, let's just say, because let's
Gender
be
roles.
honest. Well, it's gender roles, but let's be honest, the women are also doing more of this kind of stuff, right?
Depending, but yeah, sure.
Not necessarily that they should.
I know I won't, but go on. I'm not the planner, but go on. Yes, yeah, I could totally picture this. Go on.
Or let's say if you're with a partner and he's planning stuff because you're not doing it, right?
Yeah, or we're just slobs because neither of us are planning.
Okay.
No, but go on with yours.
But so the person who's stepping that role of the planner, maybe they're feeling a lot of resentment. Like, again, like, why can't they just get it together, plan stuff? Why can't they participate and share an equal amount of responsibility with me? And I think one way that you guys can mutually benefit each other is to just accept it, just to say, look, okay, you're better at planning.
Yeah.
You're better at organizing.
Yeah.
If you want help, bring the person in, not in a critical way, but just say, hey, let's get together. Let's find a time. Let's support each other. Don't expect them to just do it or do it as well as you can right off the bat. Maybe sit down together and try to work out some details together, help them in that process, or just appreciate what else they can bring to the table too. So maybe they're not going to be a planner, and if you stop expecting that,
Yes.
maybe all of a sudden you'll be happier and say, yeah, you know what, I'll take the planning, but maybe you can take just the events you're interested in plan those, or
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
or contribute in some other meaningful way.
I got one.
Hmm.
So in some friend groups, I've been known as the person who, like, there's a sports term for this, but that I cannot remember. But basically it's like, oh, we needed a parlay, dude. I don't know. We needed something last minute.
A parlay.
Is that what it is? I don't know. We needed something last minute to just like make this really freaking
A
fun.
huddle?
No, dude. It's like when you change a piece of the plan, same plan, add a detail that makes it awesome. So like that's how I could help planning. Like say you have some big trip planned and you're just like, what beach do we go to? This is our beach day.
What beach
do you want to choose? I will be on Google. I'll be looking through pictures of beaches. I'll be reading reviews. I will choose the best beach. Or if it's like, we got to get like a dinner somewhere in this city, I'm going to find the best dinner. Like, yeah, it's really hard for me to decide what days, where we're staying, those kinds of things. But give me something small that will like, I'll come with 100% enthusiasm. We'll just have the best time there and I'll make this trip really cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're going to Yelp that shit.
Yeah, I'm going to Yelp. I'm going to Google review. We're not going to be at some place with some rude waiters. This is going to be planned.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be passionate about it. So I don't know. I think it's bringing the person in little increments. Like how can they help without expecting them to do it? Because you know what I mean?
Yeah, adding the excitement, adding the interest.
Yeah,
those
for
kind
sure.
of things.
And letting them be themselves, like playing to their strengths.
Definitely.
For sure.
Okay, so what else about some of these other things that we mentioned in the previous segment? Criticism, misunderstanding.
Yeah.
What do we think about those things?
Oh, the criticism thing. Let's see here. So,
have you experienced that in your
absolutely
relationships?
Yeah, have you?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Do you want to like give an example?
Sure. I mean,
okay.
Let's see. With my ex, I would frequently get criticized
for what?
For not being as good at planning.
Okay.
For not being as good at following through with plans.
Following through is hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Because even when I would try to plan stuff, I'd forget certain details or I wouldn't think about certain things that seemed obvious to her. And then she would be like, no, I'm going to take that from you and I'm going to plan it. Forget it. Like you can't
taking
do that.
over. That's a really good point. We'll come back to that. Go on.
No, how about for you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the kinds of things that like I would be criticized for were basically like the inverse of my strengths. So like if I'm a super social person, it was like, why?
Like,
why are you
do need to be
talking so much?
social?
Yeah, like no, why are you talking so much? I'm tired. No, it's like, can you like I like this story, but can you wrap it up? And it's like, oh, that hurts because I love telling stories. But I get that you're tired, and I'm gonna need to like rein it in and actually do something. Like they may not want to hear my story right now because they're kind of annoyed. I didn't do the dishes for the last 5 days. I didn't even notice. Like it's just not being tuned into the details that a neurotypical is tuned into. Um, and also is criticized for just not having as much ease with some tasks that other people do. So they'll kind of assume that this is roommates, and yeah, they'll just assume that the reason why I didn't turn off the living room light for the fifth time is because I don't respect their lamp
Mm.
or their electricity bill or whatever, that I don't respect them. And that's like reading a lot into actions that are literally due to inattentiveness.
Yeah. So assuming
Yeah.
that your intentions are different and
Yeah.
making these leaps in assumption of, well, you must not love me, you must not care about me, you must not think we're important
Mhm.
enough as roommates, whatever it is, right? And that's some of that misunderstanding that happens.
Yeah.
And then I think that leads directly into criticism.
For
too.
sure. Yeah. It does. And I think over explaining things like as if I don't understand them. So
Or
like
like you don't know you
like,
did it, right?
yeah, like uh it's important to go to work, Abby. Everybody hates their jobs. Like for example, I had a job I really didn't like. I was contemplating quitting, and family kind of met that with nobody likes their boss. Nobody likes being told what to do. And it's like these are concepts we completely understand, but for somebody with ADHD who is so which is a common trait, like being tied to our morals, tied to our beliefs, not being able to act out of a place that's fake. Um Whereas other people can just schmooze their boss they hate, it's like it feels like a corruption. It feels really, really hard for me. So it's like, yes, I know this as a fact, but my ability to carry it out it doesn't
Come
correlate.
naturally.
It doesn't correlate like it does for you. So that's what's up.
Yeah. I've had the same kind of issues too. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think in relationships do extend over into the workplace too, right?
Mhm.
Like relationships between you and a boss or coworkers.
Hmm.
And like you said, ADHDers do have a tendency of kind of saying what's on their mind. So
Oh, yeah.
this can happen with partners too. Like if
Mhm.
you are like pointing something out to your partner, you might just think you're saying something that's true
Yeah.
and not think just how much that could hurt them in the moment
Yeah.
or what it's going to do. Like I know I had some bad tendencies sometimes to like at the height of a date or like at the worst time possible,
Mhm.
I'd be like, yeah, let's talk about that thing that's going on that's like not gonna
Context.
it's way out of context. It's not the right time. But I'm thinking this is going really great. So let's introduce that really heavy conversation or topic of things right now. And then not
No.
thinking this is gonna like tank the
This is gonna take our day. Yeah, that's that social piece too, because you're not reading the social cues in a situation where it might not be appropriate to talk about that. Dude, I
Yeah.
can so relate. I had to learn, like, there's so many times where I've been like, oh, I really want to talk about this really deep thing right now. And it's like, it's not the time. It's not the time, Abby. Take that, put that in your pocket, save it for later. um, but wait, what were you talking about right before you got into that? Because I really wanted to say something about it. You're like, I have no clue.
It could be anything.
So in relationships, when you say something that maybe another person wouldn't have said, it's kind of like I used to get this feedback, like when we're in a heated argument, they're like, "You always just take it a step too far," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "When you said that thing about my fucking family." No, I don't know. I don't know. But it's like, yeah, it's the first thing that came to your head. It's really relevant, but it's on top of the topic that they're already really sensitive about. So this
Mhm.
is not a time. And like this foot in the mouth disease, we all struggle with this. This is our impulsiveness in our brain. Um but yeah, I think that really plays into relationships because you can't unsay that stuff. So, have you ever experienced that and how have you dealt with it?
Yeah, definitely. I've experienced that, and I think it's still a challenge to this day, you know. But
Yeah.
I think what I am trying to do is be more aware of what is the outcome that I want in this interaction?
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
And think about, before I say something in anger or frustration or any other strong emotion, to actually just take a step back and be like, is this what we're really like focused on right now? Is this the result that I want?
No, it's not. Yeah, you have to think, is this going to give me the result I want? It is actually not. I have a really good example if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Let's
so
hear it.
cute. It's not me, but it's like this little kid I met who had ADHD. Um Okay, so this is rejection sensitive dysphoria, which happens a lot in ADHD. This is a perfect example of that. So this kid asked, "What time is it?" And the kid was like, "Time for you to get a watch." Classic kid response. And
Zinga.
what does he say back? Okay, so he's embarrassed. He feels rejected by this, which is like a classic, just normal comeback. Anyways, what does he say back to this kid who happens to be overweight? He says, "Time. Oh yeah, well, it's time for you to get a diet." And he gets sent to the principal's office, of course, because that's so uncalled for, and he took it way too far. And so he like was telling us about it, and we were like, do you see how what you said was just a little meaner and more personal?
Kind of reminds me of when like someone asked me, this might have happened, how do I look in this dress? And I would say, not that great. It's not flattering.
Oh,
why are you calling
geez.
me fat?
Oh jeez.
No, you asked my opinion, how you looked. I thought you wanted an honest. No.
She wanted a compliment, bro.
Shit.
She's giving you the opportunity to lift her up as she goes to brave the wilderness of the male gaze outside of your house. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
I'm just
I
being
don't know.
an honest ADHD.
Yeah, and you thought it was an honest question. I think that once again, yeah. I think a lot of guys can relate to that problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
ADHD or not, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Oh,
how
geez.
about with finances? I know that's
Mhm.
a big one
Yeah.
for relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And this is ADHD or non-ADHD. It's one of the main things that break people up. It's arguing about money, finances. So has that come up for you?
Here's the thing. It hasn't come up in my relationships because I've always kind of had a separate bank account.
Mhm.
I've seen it happen in other relationships where people disagree on what money should be spent on. Here's where I stand on the topic. I think that this could fall under trying to change each other, because like how you spend your money really shows what you value. If you really value taking care of yourself and feeling good about yourself, and you're buying a manicure every month, it is really not your partner's business to like be commenting on that. However, you make a big mistake, like a big purchase, like, oh, I went to Bass Pro and I took up archery. That I think your partner can have a comment on, right? But
Like a bigger purchase.
yeah, a huge purchase without like talking with each other. Yeah, we can talk about it if we share bank accounts, if those things are there. But yeah, I think what you're really doing is you're treading on a topic that it could be sensitive, and it's more about preference than it is about right or wrong.
But sometimes it can be impulsive spending, right?
Yeah. And sure,
Or-
yeah.
Or
Mhm.
not talking to your partner before you make a big purchase. Like, oh, I just got a new car. What?
That'd be crazy.
I thought we talked about that. Or
I'm not that kind of ADHD.
or gambling. So, sometimes that
Oh
does,
man, that's cool. Yeah, no, you're right. This is really a big issue because this is more than I've experienced though.
yeah. Okay, but
yeah.
we did talk about something right before we came on.
Mhm.
We just kind of threw it out there. But what if your partner makes more money? Like, let's say, and it's a non stereotypical thing. Like, let's say the woman makes more money.
Mhm.
How does that come up in finances?
Are we like in this situation? Are the two people married
Yeah. Well, I can.
and they're
I mean,
sharing finances?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
Like, I can speak to like my ex, like in my previous marriage. She made more money than me,
Mhm.
and there was, even though she had this idea,
Power.
she had this kind of like sentiment, right? That was
Mhm.
like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine. Like, I'm proud of you, whatever. Like, however you're building your business, everything, it's great. But relatively, there was always a little bit of like this tinge of like,
I'm doing
you're
more.
not doing as much as I am, or you're not contributing as much because I am attaining more than you. That's how it felt to me.
Okay, so this is like the classic scenario. I'm glad you brought this up of like a power imbalance of this person holding something over you. I haven't experienced that with money, but I've experienced that with mistakes. Like, oh, you did this thing again, you did this thing again, you did this thing again. There goes your credibility. Like, I have more power because I have more money because I make less mistakes, whatever.
Mm.
It's this power imbalance that happens pretty often in relationships where one person is ADHD. But I would just have to say, I don't think that's healthy. I think a mutual respect needs to be had because, um, dude, it just comes down to what you value. Like, are you making more money? But sure. But like, what's your job? You're a counselor. So you're providing value to people that is literally intangible. You're changing kids' lives. If I had a ADHD counselor when I was in elementary school, like who knows where I would be. You can't put a monetary value on that, what you're giving back to society. And that's just where my point on it.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, and again, it isn't a comparison. I think that's
Yeah.
something that comes up in relationships is
Oh
one
my gosh,
partner
yeah.
comparing themselves to the other and it being a competitive,
Hmm.
comparative kind of thing. Like,
You can't
oh,
compare.
you're not doing as much as me. I'm doing more. You're doing less. You're doing this. You're doing that. No, it's like how do we function together as a unit, as a
Mhm.
family, as a partnership? I'm bringing in this much. You're bringing in this much. So we're here. Like, right?
Yeah.
All ships or boats, right?
Yeah, we're all together.
Float.
We're all in this together, you guys.
Based on how right, whatever that saying is, we bring everything up together in an additive way.
Yeah.
And I think if people can step back and see that, a lot of these misunderstandings can be resolved.
Absolutely. I think you're seeing your partner. You brought this up last time we talked about this, but fighting fair
Mm.
and just kind of seeing your partner for the good in them. Every time that you notice a flaw, there's some kind of opposite side that you fell in love with, and like you're gonna fight fair because you love them, because you want to be with them. You're not going to be attacking because that is counterproductive to you two staying together and doing life together and being cooperative. Like, this isn't a zero-sum game.
Mhm.
There is not a winner here. You guys want to be on the same team, winning together. If there is going to be a winning, I don't know.
Yeah, and
That's my
support
point.
each other.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's pretty human to like forget about that fact. That
Yeah, and appreciating the other person for what they are bringing to the table.
hmm
Because, like, one thing that I brought to the table in my previous relationship was I was someone who could kind of breathe life into it. She
Yeah.
was a little bit apprehensive, shy, nervous,
Yeah.
anxious, kind of withdrawn, sometimes socially, and I would add life to it. Like, I'd kind of push us outside the comfort zone, take some risks, make things more exciting, more interesting, less planned and exact.
hmm
And sometimes that, I think, was seen in the negative light,
Yeah.
but could have easily been flipped to the positive too, of, hey, look what this person is bringing to the table.
hmm I think it's super important you pointed that out because what happens so often is people who lack those traits that come naturally for us, for like the ingenuity, spontaneity, social butterflyness, this ease of being in, um, that's attractive, right? But then sometimes jealousy comes in or whatever. But it really especially attracts people who don't have that. And I think as ADHDers, we need to be kind of cautious of getting into relationships with somebody who likes us for what they're lacking. And because we do that
Yes.
too, we like people for their structure and their
Filling
ability
a
to.
hole.
And you're filling a hole inside that it can only be filled by your own growth.
Yeah, because that's part of the reason I was attracted to my ex, is because I was like, wow, she's a great planner. She's really
Yeah.
meticulous. She's got all these great qualities. She has a great job. She's making money, all this stuff. But then that was also what ended up like making us not compatible at the end of the day.
Because it's a difference in values. If this person is a workaholic, for example, they really value productivity. As an ADHDer, you're coming to the table with some unproductive, if we're gonna call it like unproductive, I mean, it's just
Tendencies.
yeah, and it's being realistic. Like, remember who you were as a kid. I don't know about you, but my friends would take 30 minutes on a homework assignment that took me 4 hours. When you're in a relationship with somebody who expects the highest level of productivity constantly from themselves, they start to expect that from you. That might be a red flag. Maybe
Mm.
that's someone you don't want to try things with. Um, you brought up a really good point in this world of swiping. Do you want to go into that?
No, say it.
Okay, so you told us to, me and my girlfriend were talking about this, and you were like, how about you give them a phone call and check out and see if there's any red flags? And we were both just like, what? Oh
Who
shit.
calls anyone these days?
You want me to pick up my phone and place it next to my face?
Are you a dinosaur? It's like, shit, I've aged a lot.
We're like, this makes no sense. But I think it's honestly huge because for us ADHDers who tend to see the best in people and empathize with the biggest hearts, it's good for us to have this 10-minute phone conversation with a stranger and pick out any red flags we might see that are a sign of incompatibility before we even meet them.
Yeah.
Because then you're giving yourself a chance to be like, hold up, there are plenty of fish in the sea. Is this somebody I need to spend time getting to know and possibly compromising myself for?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why figure that out after you've already had all that physical interaction, attraction, and the hormones and all that stuff like clouds that judgment?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it on the phone first. See if they can actually
Yeah.
how understanding are they? How nice are they being around
Yeah.
certain things? Can you pick up on some of that stuff right off the bat by just asking them about some of their tendencies
And what were those like
and
red
tolerances?
flags? Yeah, what were those that you listed? Do you remember?
I don't remember actually if
I do have a list right here. Sorry to put you on the spot.
she wrote it down. That's great.
There was like guys who are uncomfortable with confrontation or affection.
Mm.
These are like normal things that happen in a relationship. Girls who are uncomfortable with this too. Yeah, these are things that like are gonna need to happen. If they're stonewalling you and you see a conflict happening and they're like, I don't want to talk about this. This isn't a good time, and they never come back to it. That is an inability to just like communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Communication is huge in all relationships, but one with ADHD, dude, it's the lifeline.
Yeah. Hey, I have an interesting thing though.
Okay.
Not to cut your list.
No,
off. Do you
dude,
have more
shoot
stuff?
it. No, shoot your thing. Shoot your shot. Let's go.
Can an ADHDer be in a relationship with a non-ADHDer?
I think we've kind of gone over that. It just needs, you need to be super selective and choose somebody who has similar values and is compassionate and is caring.
Hmm. So you think it's possible?
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's
All right.
possible. I think like opposites attract. So sometimes you're attracted to that stuff. Now, it's after that honeymoon phase, after that first, let's say 6 months, or that initial phase where butterflies and hormones and everything's going on, and after that ends, are you guys still compatible?
Yeah.
How do you have those difficult conversations when you are having a fight or an argument or a disagreement over something like who did the dishes or who's responsible for cleaning up this thing or planning a trip? When that stuff comes up, how do you guys actually have those conversations, and are they healthy? Do they not
Mm-hmm.
kind of spill into those red flags, those things like criticism, trying to change the person, trying to like sandbag and put all of the past
Yeah.
failures in their face? Like, I remember
Terrible. That's abuse.
5 months ago when you did that, and then 3
Yeah.
weeks ago you did that again, and then you did this, and it's been on 50 times. That's not productive.
Okay, yeah. Dude, you know what? You bring up a good point. I feel like this is kind of heavy. Are we ready to dive in?
Mm-hmm.
We learned that abuse is common in relationships where one of the partners has ADHD. Why was that? Do we remember?
Well, because I think we're oftentimes very trusting, and I think sometimes blame ourselves first.
Oh my gosh, somebody can totally see that from a mile away. If they're looking for somebody who's going to self-inflict they're going to notice like an ADHD or blah, sorry, I'm late, blah, it's like, it's my bad, oh, I'm so silly. I can't believe I said that, whatever,
And they'll just take that
and
emotional
they'll be like,
abuse.
oh my God, that's the target. So yeah. And then we will take it because we've beat up on ourselves enough
Yeah, and so
growing
we
up in a
just believe it.
neurotypical
We're
world.
so negative in our heads sometimes about our own performance and what we wish we would have done or should have done.
Yes.
And then we hear that from our partner, we're like, oh, they must be right. Yeah, I am lazy, I am stupid, I am disorganized. God, and we internalize that message so much we don't even realize this is unhealthy. This
Yeah.
is abuse. This is actually emotional abuse
Yeah.
where my partner is throwing back in my face those tendencies that maybe I can't even control.
Yeah.
Now, but I just want to bring this point up.
Get it.
ADHD is not an excuse, okay?
That's a good point.
It's a reason. It's not an excuse. So the difference is really, it's not something you can say, well, I have ADHD, so I'm never going to do that. Like it's not something like that where you can really throw it in your partner's face and just make it be like, oh, well, that's just the way I am. Love me or leave it. See ya.
Yeah, that's
'Cause-
such a good point because that is not like my inclination. My inclination is more like, please understand this was not my intent. Like, please have compassion for me and I'm going to try. Like that I think is the best way to go about it. But yeah, you could easily just be like, I'm not trying. I'm not doing dishes. I'm not sweeping. I don't care about those details. I mean, you could easily do that too. And I think I just as easily could err on that side. But yeah, that's a really good point. You got to own it and be willing to work on it. But I do have to say something before we end this topic. Do you know what gaslighting is?
Yeah.
So have you seen the 1950s film Gaslight?
I don't think I have.
It is the
Is
perfect.
that where that comes from?
That is where the term
Oh.
comes from. So the reason why I bring
I've
it up.
wondered about that.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want me to go into it, the movie has this woman who gets into a relationship with a guy who is just trying to take advantage of her. She has her family's jewels in her attic in the house that she inherited. She's the only survivor or whatever. So the guy knows that and he gets her in a whirlwind romance, takes her to Paris. They get married within 6 months. All so that he could go to her attic every day and look for those family jewels, leave with them. So he's literally going to just take her value and leave. He doesn't love her. So this is where the gaslighting comes in. Every day he'd say he went to work, but he would go upstairs. And since the lights were fueled by gas at this time, 1950, she would see the lights flicker when he would turn the lights on in the attic. And she would question him about it. She's like, you know what? The lights did the flickering thing again today. She's concerned. She's like, what's going on? And he's like, no, you're going crazy. And he would tell her things to make her question her own reality. So he'd be like, no,
You didn't see the lights.
you didn't see the lights flicker. And also you forgot this. And he would like plant things to make her forget, like to make her confused and not trust herself. Well, think about how that plan works really well with somebody who has ADHD and has a problem forgetting already.
Yeah. Oh, I told you. I told you.
I
Where
told
was.
you this.
I was
Yeah.
out with Johnny's house. Didn't you know? Remember this morning? I told you
You're
over breakfast.
forgetting. Oh, you're forgetting that I've said that before.
Mm.
No, you did that.
You did that. Don't you remember? That's what you did.
did that. I cannot believe you forgot you did that. You always forget. This is just like you. That's gaslighting. And that is super simple to do to somebody who has ADHD. So we're not telling you this stuff to scare you, but it's something you should keep in mind. Look for those red flags if you're dating out there in this world.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. That was a great example. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
All right. Do you want to talk a little bit about solutions
Sure.
towards the end here?
Yeah, I
mean, I
think
know we've been, like-
spotting those like red flags, spotting things that you know are not going to be compatible with you down the road, and just kind of being realistic with yourself, even though they're attractive in the short term. Is this something that's going to actually work?
Yeah. Do you have any more of the ones?
The red flags?
Yeah.
Another red flag. Remember we talked about people who say they have OCD?
So someone that thinks they have OCD, like not actually OCD.
They are not diagnosed with OCD
Not
in the
really
same
OCD.
sense that somebody who's just like, oh shit, I forgot my jacket at home. I'm so ADD. hate that. They are not ADD. They're just saying that because they think it's funny. So people will like to say that they think they have OCD when all they really have is what?
They're just very nitpicky,
They have a
critical control issues.
control issues. Yes. So I learned that is actually not OCD. There's a different thing. It's called OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
even know if it's that. I just think it's called asshole. disorder.
Assholeism. Yeah, dude, we don't have to like label everything. But yeah, like this is a reaction to PTSD that I've seen. I used to work at Pearl Harbor Hickam with like active duty military, and a lot of them had PTSD. So you can overcorrect and try to control your environment, assert control over your environment, have everything in order, and it is giving you the illusion of control because you had this experience where you had no control. Anyways, so just looking for those control issue patterns. If somebody tells you that, I would be really cautious and ask them, are you getting treatment for that? Because you know what? We are on medications. We're seeing psychiatrists. We're going to therapy. If somebody tells you they have that issue, then it's like, you know what? I work on myself and I deserve someone who does too.
Yeah, neurotypical folks, let's be honest, whether you have ADHD or not, sometimes we forget this. They need to work on themselves too.
Yeah.
It's two-way street.
It is two-way.
So even though you have challenges that you are working on or need to work on, if your partner is being like, it's only you, you have everything, I'm perfect, that's not fair either. So yeah, exactly. We should be working together to kind of address our own issues for ourselves and not trying to fix the other person.
Absolutely. Yeah, no fixing. I am good as I am. And if I want to fix something about myself, I will let you know because that is something I'm in control of, right?
I have this question for you. Communication.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most effective way to communicate? Now, this is more for folks that are non-ADHDers and maybe they have an ADHD partner. How can they communicate better? Like, let's say they've tried, but their partner, no matter what they say, feels criticized or judged or gets defensive. How can we communicate those messages to the ADHD partner in an effective way?
I think it's just what is that called? Open communication, where you state your experience and then you state your feeling. Because anytime you're telling your experience without also including your feeling word, you're not giving all of the information. So like, I can't argue with the fact that you're feeling overwhelmed with my chaos. You know what I mean? With the environment that is chaotic. So like, honestly, if you're overwhelmed, I'm more likely to feel empathy for you than if you're just saying, you made my environment chaotic. I'm going to feel attacked.
You always do this. You always.
You know?
So like, I think like always.
Oh shoot.
Never.
Yeah.
Should. These are words that are
Don't
trigger words.
should on me.
Stop shoulding all over yourself.
Yeah.
Or shoulding on your partner.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's not a good look.
There's a lot of things that go along like with gender roles too. We expect our partner should do these things. That's just a recipe for disaster. Like, know your partner, know the situation, accept it how it is. And if you want it to be different, communicate your wants.
Your needs.
Your desires. Yeah.
And use I, right? Use I need, I want. And it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not.
I feel.
Yeah. Or I feel. And it's not like, I feel like you should have done the dishes.
That is not a feeling word, sir.
No, you can't feel like they should have done the dishes.
You know what's fun is you could even like look up the feelings wheel online, print one out. If like you guys are practicing in your relationship to communicate better, adding feeling words is the bread and butter of this. And so if you have like a list and you can just refer back to like all these different feelings, you know, that are really descriptive, it helps to like feel less attacky.
Yeah. And it's not about putting all that stuff onto the person. Like,
no.
You are this thing. It's your feelings. Own your own feelings.
Coming in vulnerable.
Exactly. Communicate those things to your partner in a way that they're going to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that if we do it, also one way that's good for communicating to an ADHDer is to pay attention to your tone.
Oh my gosh. How did this not come up
volume
sooner?
And that kind of stuff. Because if you're
That's so, it feels like a whip. I am like, I'm being whipped with your tone. It hurts. Like literally. Go on.
Yeah. And so if you say it in a calm, reassuring way, like, it really hurts when I was expecting that you were going to do that thing that you promised you were going to do, and it didn't get done. And that was really hurtful because I was hoping you were going to get that done. Like, if you can say it in that way instead of, why didn't you get that done? What's wrong with you? I told you this morning, weren't you were not listening? What's like,
Yeah.
you just don't love me? You don't
You
care?
just don't listen. Okay, so and you actually used a feeling word, hurt. That's a feeling word, you know.
Mhm.
So I was feeling hurt, and it's taking responsibility for like how you're feeling. This one is, it's a tip that goes both ways. It's called a Q-tip. It stands for quit taking it personally.
Mm.
So the other person's behaviors are kind of they're more characteristic of this person's brain and their functioning in their everyday life, not necessarily a reflection of how they feel about you.
Wow, that's a good one.
Dude,
Q-tip.
deep. Q-tip. So yeah, quit taking it personally, guys. Both sides. So like, I think I could, dude, take everything personally. I'm like a little baby jellyfish, like just able to be poked by any, But honestly, it's a sign of strength to really step outside yourself and be like, even though I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling like this feels personal. It's like, talk to the person about that, really question if it is personal. And that's why this communication helps, because you might learn that's just the way this person is. They're going to work on it if they care, if they want to, if it's something they can care and to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
What else? Okay. So like for people who live together, I've heard about making up games to keep the ADHD on track with household tasks.
Yeah, add humor.
Yeah.
Make it fun.
Yeah.
Make it interesting.
Use imagination.
Yeah, like make a colorful chart or a colorful thing. Like, I don't know if Steven's
Do
gonna
it.
like this, but
Do it.
but Steven's girlfriend sent me this text,
Love.
and it was this amazing chart, and I'm like, where did you find that? Like, I want to buy one of these things, and it had like little Mario coins from like Super Nintendo, or like back in the day when Nintendo had these little coins and these little characters, and it was a chore chart kind of thing for their house. It's the cutest thing.
That's cute.
And
that's so cute.
I wish I had it to like show you guys, but
she bought that for him.
She didn't buy it. She made it.
Stop it.
She's like an amazing designer.
Oh, love
and, like,
this.
Creative type person.
That's so cool.
But like that makes it fun. That makes engaging with it not this like.
Yeah.
It just adds some humor and some creativity to the pot.
And that's a visual cue, which help a lot with people with ADHD, people with autism, people who have a little different of a brain, like tend to think in pictures. So a visual cue is huge. And think about how like
write it down, post a chart.
Yeah, with that, it's not the person reminding you, it's this chart that is made with love. And so you're actually reminded of how much your partner loves you every time.
Yeah.
That's way different.
So it separates that personal thing. Get away from the nagging. Nagging puts that person into that parental role, right?
Yeah.
Especially for an ADHD, because a lot of us have grown up with parents that nagged us a lot.
Take the trash out. Why did you forget again?
Yeah. So that's not going to be effective.
Oh, yeah. And actually, this is another thing that Eric Hornack talks about in his groups. But
he's a CHAD group leader.
CHAD leader in Denver. He talked about how the ADHDer's response to that is like, we are going to respond the same way that we responded to authority growing up. So obviously not good, if you can remember. But like, you hear this doting tone, this like judgmental, you're not good enough tone, and you shrink, and instead of hating that you can't live up to this expectation, you start to hate that person. You start to have all of those like feelings of frustration towards them, and they take on the negative perceptions and ideals and images that you have stored in your sad like child brain of all the authority figures who were disappointed in you. That's a terrible feeling. But then think about the partner, like what they see in you, they're now taking on the role of their parent, and they're feeling the pain of all the time, like they're now shaming you, and what they're seeing is all the times that they've not lived up to
Yeah.
expectations.
Or
They're
they are
shaming.
getting their
Yeah.
needs met in the way that they
Yeah.
want
They're,
it.
yeah.
Like, why can't I be taken care of? Why can't
Mhm.
I just relax and take it easy sometimes? Why do I always have to worry about your stuff?
Yes. Let's end on a note where it's kind of like a little bit more
You don't end on that sad note.
no, I love that. It's just, let's end on a note where it's kind of like we're talking about
ADHD in relationships sucks,
it
people.
sucks.
And
It'll
you're just
never
gonna
be good.
have to realize that, and the sooner you realize that, just like hide yourself in the corner and cry yourself to sleep.
and okay, no, I feel like we should have compassion for the other person. So you can have compassion for them by thinking about how difficult sometimes it has been to live with your brain. And just imagine this person's been living in a neurotypical world with a neurotypical brain, not experiencing any of these hangups that you've had your whole life, and they're just now experiencing them for the first time with the person they love. And that's hard. That's also really hard. They had no idea that there's sometimes things aren't exactly how they believed they were.
Yeah, or it come as easily as they think they should.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How many times have you heard, this is easy? Why can't you do that?
Mm-hmm. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. But it's if this task was easy for you, you would believe, I mean, we have a tendency to think other people's brains are similar to ours. You would also believe that this person just didn't care enough to do the task. And you would probably take it personally too. So I think we could come in with some empathy.
Yeah, and ADHDers are very empathetic, very sensitive.
Yeah, we are.
Very loyal. So these are all positive qualities of an ADHD partner. We're also very creative. We think outside the box. We can add interest and life to conversations, situations. So that spontaneity, that impulsivity, sometimes that just is something to appreciate because it makes things interesting. It's not dull. Like, think about it. If you're a neurotypical person and you want everything planned out meticulously, if you had a partner that was the exact same way, how interesting is that? If all you're doing is like, okay, you're just as good of a planner as I am, and we're gonna just sit back and be happy with our very regimented life.
Everything's gonna go exactly how we expected.
And then you'll probably drive each other nuts because you both will be unhappy because things didn't work out the way you expected, because life is life.
Yeah, life does. Like, there will be problems in any relationship. It doesn't take an ADHD person to cause problems.
And the ADHDer helps the other person understand that and is like,
oh man, do we know how to deal with problems?
Roll with the punches, right? Like, we're flexible, adaptable people, and that's one of our strengths. So we're like,
true.
We're like, yeah, shit comes up. Like, let's think outside the box, find another way to still have fun doing this thing.
Oh, preach. Love it. So honestly, I think like my biggest takeaway from this conversation would be like, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And the ADHDer's strengths may be beautifully attractive, like a shining light to a moth to a flame you were drawn in. And then those like the ADHDer's weaknesses are just as epic. However, you must remember that you have those strengths and weaknesses too, even if they are a little less spread out on the scale. And we all just want to be loved and accepted for who we are. It's a basic human need.
Love yourself, honey.
First, love yourself.
What does RuPaul say?
Oh my God, you're doing a RuPaul. Dude, you need to deliver with so much more attitude.
If you don't love yourself, no one's going to love you. How does it go?
If you don't love you, I don't actually
know. If you don't
know.
love yourself, no one's going to love you. Shit,
dude,
I
just
don't know.
love yourself.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else?
That's all.
Just love yourself. All right.
That's all we got. We can do our own thing. Love your sparkle and don't dim it for anybody. Bah. Bing. Z-snap.
I just hit the table. I was like, ding.
It's like, wah. Okay. That's enough of that.
That's a wrap. Oh, and we will be back.
Oh, yeah.
We will be back.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Expert commentary
on the topic.
On this topic.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to our podcast, Attention Different. Again.
Attention Different. Go to attentiondifferent.org.
Yeah.
Join our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Like us, follow us, We're also on iTunes.
Oh, amazing. Share it with your friends, you guys, if it was helpful. If you're in a relationship, if you've been in a relationship, if you even want a friend to understand kind of what your relationship was like, do that. Write us at the socials, whatever social you're at. Give us a little bit of feedback, because if we miss something, we love this topic. We're willing to come back to it. My name's Abby Ager. You can find me on the socials as well if you want to message me personally.
Yep. And I'm Aaron Smith. And this is Attention Different.
Woo! Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.
You see what I mean? You got to be crazy. Too late to be sane. You got to go full tilt bozo. Because you're only given a little spark of madness.
We are attention.
If you lose that, you're nothing.
Attention.
Pay attention.